And what's going on, everybody? It's Danny the Bull here with a Roundtable live stream. We've got Patient Hodler in the house and Veve Viral. Mycollectables is going to be joining us in about 15 minutes. He had to go pick his kids up from school because he's a very dedicated father and family man. So why don't you guys start by introducing yourselves? I'm sure everyone knows you, but maybe some people in the audience don't yet know who you are.
Thanks, Danny. I think I'll go first. First of all, thanks for having me here on your channel. First time for me on your channel, and I'm looking forward to the conversation here. Quick introduction. My name is, or let's say, I go with the name Patient Hodler here. It's not my real name,
First name
but that's how
Patient,
you can
last
find
name
me on
Hodler.
YouTube. Actually, my first name is known already to the community, but it's fine. And yes, I do, let's say at the moment, weekly content about Ecomi and Veve, also some other cryptos. And yeah, today, interesting talks about Ecomi and Veve right there.
And I go by Veve Viral on Twitter. I don't have a YouTube channel, but I do tweet bi-minutely, every other minute it feels like. I joined in early 2021, and my real name is Ivan.
Nice. And I am Danny the Bull. So welcome, everyone. Like I said, Mycollectables will be joining us. We'll get started. There's a lot that I wanted to talk about, a lot of different things. There's always something to talk about with Veve and Omi, right? Things are always happening, or even though nothing's really happening. But let's start with, which is ironic, right? Let's start with MCP, and a new article dropped recently. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it or not, but what are your thoughts on it? Do you have any thoughts? What are you guys thinking regarding MCP and the future of it?
Well, maybe I can pick that up while Veve Viral is cleaning the camera still or rebuilding it. There is a little bit of a background noise there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's me.
Yep.
No, I have that as well. Okay. Anyways, MCP article, in my opinion, because we have covered it, I think MCP since we knew about it for what is it, almost 2 years, and when they redefined the points in the previous articles. So point wise and reward wise, I didn't see so many differences, but obviously, two things stuck out for me. One is that you are basically being punished when you do not use the app. You are not getting any points if you do not log on within every 7 days. So that's basically like in this dystopian movies where you have to push the button every 7 days. And the other one is that there were some rewards descriptions. Maybe we can get into this a little bit later, that you can purchase things with the points, that you also can craft things with points, which sounds the most interesting to me. Yeah, and overall, I would be excited if I would believe that it is coming out in the next weeks for MCP, obviously, because I always demanded that we have something to do within the app.
I unfortunately haven't read it yet. I caught a part of Mycollectables, his YouTube video, just a few minutes ago. But yeah, I was surprised as well about the fact that you have to constantly log in. We already knew that the points expire after 6 months, right? So like any points generated today will expire 6 months from today. But it seems like they're pushing that maybe to ensure that you're constantly spending or trading or creating volume and engaging with the app. And I'm also just curious to see how they're going to integrate it with Omi, because even though they had mentioned that before, we still don't know the details about the new loyalty program. And I know the big question on a lot of people's mind is this going to strengthen the exclusivity or access provided by being an Omi token holder, or weaken it? So the suspense, we'll find out soon.
Yeah. And what about Justin's question here? Is MCP trash? What do you guys think? Are you I mean, I know like it's frustrating, very frustrating to wait, because we've been waiting for a long time. So Hodler, you said you're not really excited right now because you don't really anticipate it really rolling out in full anytime soon. But when it does roll out, how do you think you're going to feel about it?
Yeah, obviously that would bring the app as a big milestone that we wanted to see, would bring the app on a whole nother level. I don't think it's trash. I think MCP is crucial to basically as a basis for a lot of different tools that you can use in the app and how you can play different things. I think there will be then a meta within the app, how people that have smaller stacks, how whales can behave with regards to getting extra entries in the queues, with regards to flexing with their vaults, with accessories, with regards to maybe crafting and burning and playing around with this. I think we will see some unexpected side effects if all of that was really to come. But right now, for me, this is all just another, how do you say this, smoke bomb, with
Smoke
regards
screen.
also to that, what Veve Viral said, that how this connects to OMI. So I suspect that they will come out in a couple of weeks when they are asked about MCP and they say, hey, we needed to reconnect with the OMI side, so everything is different now, so it might take another 2 years or so. So just joking about the 2 years, but if you would have joked 2 years ago about some things, you would have been actually right. So yeah.
I don't think it's trash. I'm not like as hype about it as others. Like my collecting strategy has never really considered it. I'm just stack a face I always have and comics that I like. So I stack a lot of the same one over and over and again, and a lot of the times it's the comment. So my strategy is not really too good for MCP. That being said, I could see how the ranks could lead to like whale battles for just to flex and say like I'm top 10, I'm top 100, I'm top 1, and I could see that leading to more spending amongst people with bigger pockets. And I could just see it just generating more of a reason to stay or log in every day.
Yeah. Have you
It's
both
almost by
gotten?
force.
Yeah,
Huh?
they're gonna force you to. Have you both gotten access to it?
Yeah, to the
No.
points, yes.
No. Oh wow. So Hodler, you still haven't. I think they said 20,000 people have access so far to the
Yeah,
beta.
the poll I ran the other day, I think it was close to like 1,000 voters, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe it was like I don't know how many, a few hundred. It was like 44 or something percent said they had access.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's really true. I think Mitch, I will go back to that German comment after that, but it's another topic. I think Mitch commented this, and I think it's true that they really do it random because there were people with the 0 collectibles getting MCP access. We've seen some screenshots about that one. I think going back to what Veve Viral says, it's true. It's also not part of my collecting strategy in that sense. I want to play with it because I think it's interesting, but I think it will be part of many people's collecting strategy and also incentivize many people that come later into the app. If they want to get hold of a bigger drop, given that Veve really succeeds, goes into the next bull run with again the situation where not everyone can hit a drop and maybe the waitlist is out and so on, that people will buy one of these high edition runs collectibles just to stack up a little bit more points. So I think it's necessary, but I really don't like if someone forces me to log on. I would rather have a feature that is so good that people want to play every day. Like I used to play a lot of World of Warcraft many years ago, and the achievement side, for example, made me want to log in and complete achievements every day. So I think they should focus more on the side what you can do and achieve every day to spend the maximum of time in there and money.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Mycollectables will be joining us soon. Does have an MCP strategy. We'll hear about that in a second. But I do want to go back to this question that I don't know what this says. Do you want to speak
So
to
he
this?
basically asks how the AMA or how the talk with Dr. Profit was. That was on a German channel 2-3 hours ago on Captain Vivi's channel, where Dr. Profit gave his thoughts on many of these topics as well. I think it was a good one, and also we all know that Dr. Profit is very convinced of Vivi, the Vivi team, and so on. But he also gave some little bit balanced thoughts where he sees a little bit more negative sides, maybe, or things that he wants to see right now. So it was a good one.
Yeah. What were his criticisms?
I will, just to put this in front, I will put together a summary in English on my channel, maybe probably tomorrow. But yeah, it was, the criticism was more in the direction of that he overall also sees that self-custody of collectibles is crucial for whales to enter space, and for him it's one of the things that he wants, and he also believes that collectibles are a good strategy to invest because they might survive a failing Vivi. So he really said that, although he doesn't believe that we will fail. So that's one of the many aspects. I think it was 1.5 hours, but just to drop this in here.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think they're also going to put subtitles on that, but everyone should catch Patient Hodler's review of it tomorrow. I linked your YouTube channel in the description. I also linked Viral's Twitter handle in the description, so everyone should check them out if you don't do so already. But now, months back, right, the mere anticipation of MCP dropping would have kickstarted this secondary market, and things would have started running just based off anticipation. But things are so sluggish right now in the secondary market. What effect do you think MCP, when it's finally rolled out, do you think it's going to have an effect, or do you think that it's going to take some time for this market to really recover?
I think it depends on how smooth it runs. Because if it's full of glitches and a week later, which I think we should anticipate that this is going to happen, a week later, like, oh, we're going to retract it and we have to work on certain features, then the lack of trust will still be there, where even if they announce OUP is going to kick off, people are going to be hesitant to get excited. Whereas before, we hadn't been disappointed enough times to not get hyped whenever they promised something new. But at this point, everyone was like, yeah, whatever. So, I mean, but once they deliver 2 or 3 solid things on time, I think any news will go back to creating excitement and hyping everyone up.
Yeah. Hodler, you think the same?
I think I've outlined this in one of my videos, that I think that still, with all the, I never thought that we would have another Max Payne moment in the Vivi space like this, because I think this is now Max Payne, although we had already a couple of months ago a phase where people were so negative. But I think it also has something to do with the overall market, because we know when this phase of the Bitcoin cycle, and now assuming that the bottom is in it, we are now in this very early stages of a beginning new bull market. Just assuming this right now, it could turn out different. We never know. But then this is the phase where Bitcoin gains dominance about all the altcoins, and also about NFTs, and everything bleeds to Bitcoin. And that is also what we have seen in individual decisions, that people sold their collectibles, cashed out to move into, for example, Bitcoin or Ethereum or the large caps. And in that sense, it just puts fuel on this development in the community right now. And I think it will continue until we see something like an altcoin season. And if that's paired with some good news, whatever news, MCP or interoperability, or let's say self-custody, I think that can turn then the market around.
Yeah. And here we got our final guest, Mycollectables. What's going on, buddy?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you
Hey,
guys.
man.
Yes, we just started chatting here. We're talking about MCP and its impact, what impact it will have when it finally does roll out. I know that I saw I don't know if it was a video or a live stream yesterday. You were talking about stacking comics, trying to build up your MCP points that you don't even have yet, right? You haven't.
I don't have them. I don't
It's
even. I
crazy
don't
to
have
me that
that.
you don't have MCP yet.
I don't have MCP. No. I'm just trying to like.
So we are too.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have it yet, but I don't. I have no idea where I stand. I can only guess. I'm not even gonna bother guessing. I'm just gonna like wait. And but no, for the past few months, I've been slowly, trying to get like, just some comics that I like good ones, at cheap prices, like uncommons, basically, right? This is just what I'm doing. I'm not advocating anybody else. I just, like I like Spider-Man comics and stuff, so I picked a couple that were in a good price for me that I think later on down the road I could sell a few too. I don't want to just pick up like all trash comics, I want to get stuff that also I like and that I could probably sell. So slowly, when I would see prices on certain ones, I would pick them up here and there. And but then, the article comes out, the newer one, right, with the whole blog post and all that, with all the different steps. And I was looking at it, and I just feel like it's time for me to get a little bit more up there. Like I want to. I'm not worried about drops coming up and getting these points, to be able to go for drops. It's more about like once the MCP is actually rolled out with people, and once they do the drop system, and once they start to then look at what else you'll be able to use your points for. I don't want to be playing catch up then, and the other thing I noticed is I was in the market after I decided to make, to get a little bit more serious about it and actually go in and buy some, like maybe, 50, 60, 100 comics or something. There wasn't a lot for me to buy that was good, there's still like the really low level stuff you can pick up, but even those uncommons, and so then the other thing is I've been watching them for a while and they haven't been going back up in price once the listings, when that happens, when the listings get lower, the floor rises, then people relist for profit. Like that's what we've always been doing. It's not happening as much now. People are just kind of holding their stuff now because they have no reason to sell the stuff. Like they're not going to make a lot of money on selling any of these comics. So I feel like it's kind of like it's starting to get to that point, for me. I'm just the last couple of days here, Danny, I've bought a few like this Spider-Man. Like this is just me. Like I like Spider-Man. I don't want to go through and have 3 of this comic, 4 of that comic, 8 of that comic, 6 of that. I mean, my whole vault starts to look really messy, and I'm just kind of like maybe like what do you call a bit of a. I like it to look good, right? So.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on the new article and like new features and new information that we got? I know you did a review on it. I caught part of it.
Oh, I just think it's just the stuff we've all known. I just like the way it's organized, but I like seeing the levels and I like seeing the ranks. And, when I see where I'm at, I know it's going to affect me. It's already affected me. I love stats and stuff, right? Like I'm very competitive, especially with sports and stuff. So when I see stats and ranks and where I sit and people are above me, it affects me. And it's just the way it is. It's like that with HRO, even though I'm not in HRO that much because I'm in Canada, I can't get the cards in retail. I still look at where I rank in Canada for season 1. Like the stuff is important to me. So, so seeing the way it's laid out now, it's nice. And I don't know what it means like for the future. I mean, if it's just going for a drop, half the drops don't sell out anyway. So it would really only be for the big drops that you'd even worry about. So, but for me, it's the stuff that you'll also be able to do with your points at some point. And I just don't want to be playing catch up in 6 months from now, and having to go in and I have to do it slowly. I can't dump a whole bunch of money in 6 months from now and suddenly catch up. I have to I'm trying to do it now, slowly over the last year or so.
Why do you excuse me, why do you assume that it's 6 months from now? Why don't you think that you might have a year or more to accumulate?
Oh,
I just threw an arbitrary number out there. Could be a year before we have more stuff. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you have a lot of conviction, right? And you've not wavered in your conviction on the collectibles side of things. Hodler and Viral, have you guys slowed down? What's been your approach in terms of collectibles? Because I was mainly in Omi, right? So I got into the collectibles a bit, but I mostly focus on crypto, especially now during this bear market. My main focus is just adding to my bags, right? And then I think I'll circle back and build up my collection a little later. But what about you guys? What have you been? How active have you been?
I definitely haven't been buying as much as I did 2021, 2022, but that's mostly because it was never my plan to. Like, I went really aggressive in 2021, and in 2022, I was not supposed to buy aggressively, but I still did. And now I just, every now and then, I'll shop to see if there's like a good deal on a low mint Todd or super, like my favorite ones. I'm just like, is there a good low mint or just a really cheap FA that I ever wanted? But definitely not as aggressively as I used to. I haven't like swept floors like on the cheaper ones like I used to. Like, I would just buy a lot of the same one that I like, because for the same reasons you said, because I've been buying just crypto and just diversifying a little. But let's say that other crypto I'm buying starts going up all of a sudden, then I'm like, okay, it's justified to go back and buy some.
So it's not
collectibles.
so you
I
haven't
haven't
slowed
sold
down
anything.
and you haven't slowed
No.
down due to a lack of conviction in the product.
No.
Okay. Hodler?
Yeah, I have been slowing down significantly. I've not completely stopped accumulating, but also I think with around 500 collectibles, I'm sitting okay. I think I've not sold off anything, but I think the question is very good, because if I compare this to the phase where we all were excited and comics were relatively new to the app, I remember that I was sitting hours per day scanning the market and refreshing the page to see low mints. In my opinion, it was sub 5,000 was a low mint. So I was like, oh my God, I need to have the whole collect. I've never collected comics in my entire life, but I even bought physicals because of that. So the effect that they had on me there was turning me into someone who really enjoyed the hunting on the market. And that has now gone away a little bit, I feel. It's not fun anymore, also because I had the feeling there were several comics coming, maybe the iconic one, the epic ones, but now I have the feeling we will have all the 27,000 Marvel comics that are out there eventually. Obviously, there are not enough days to drop them all, but you get you get the idea. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing further to do with it, because I cannot put the comics that I especially love on the app in my showroom. I do not have points aggregating on them. So it's kind of, I want to see, to sum this all up, I want to see that Veve is doing something in the direction of I'm doing something with my collectibles, and get this excitement back to me, for me to go again into the market and accumulate more than one little comic per week or month.
Yeah. Do you think Veveverse serves that end and purpose and will do it for you?
Veveverse, I don't know. I'd rather have them implement the more basic stuff first. I don't really like the talks about Veveverse, because I don't. That's actually the one point where I don't want them to have pressure, because there's no need to bring a metaverse right now. Not even this year. I'd rather have them to bring a banger metaverse in 25 than something half-baked right now. So I would rather have them bring a super good search bar, a nice MCP where we all can have fun with and everyone gets back on board, and self-custody, something that we can transfer our stuff into our own wallet and secure them. Besides, Veve guarantees that our IP will remain and is secure on the blockchain for even times beyond Veve, stuff like that. I don't need a fancy metaverse and stuff around this to get me hyped.
How do you guys feel about that?
I kind of agree. Like he said, he mentioned self-custody. It's not like I'm a big, huge Web3 guy. I still have crypto in Robinhood and Coinbase, like stored there. Not much, it's not like significant amounts. But yeah, like I feel like I would consider the grails of Veve safer as far as my Web3 portion of collecting investing goes. I would at that point consider the Veve grails safer than even Bitcoin in my eyes. I would be like, oh, if it's like you can transfer it anywhere, like something as huge as Spider-Man and Superman and Batman have lived even longer than Bitcoin has, and it's just something that people have always collected. It doesn't have to be like the next big thing that changes the world. It's just a little niche that people are willing to pour money into just for the sake of collecting. And yeah, I agree with the whole Viviverse because I know if they release something, even though they've told us a million times just to expect like a more advanced showroom, we're gonna see a million tweets about how it's not Ready Player One, and so there's no rush. I mean, I'd be excited if they rolled it out later this month, but it's not what I'm constantly hoping I wake up and see a tweet about.
Yeah. Mycollectables?
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way. I'm not like living and dying by the VV verse. I don't even know what it's going to look like. It's probably just going to be, like you said, just a glorified vault experience for the first however many years or whatever, right? Before we can actually do some stuff. Walking around in there would be cool. Showing off some stuff would be cool, like our comics, for example. Maybe we'll be able to do that. Or maybe we'll be able to go and like visit other people's, vaults a little bit, and use our Ready Player Me like avatars and stuff like that. That stuff is kind of fun. There's a lot of ways you can like, get together as a group and like, hang out a bit more and have a little bit more fun with our stuff as opposed to just our static little individual vaults that we kind of play with and watch those vault masters do unbelievable stuff with. I mean, maybe we can goof around and, but for me, that's not the reason like I'm here at all. Like that's, I just like collecting the comics. I like having them, I like looking at them. Like, it's funny. I have a lot of physical comics in boxes that sit in my closet, and every now and again, I'll pull them out, look at them. Just knowing that I have them it's kind of a weird thing, right? Like if you're a collector like that, just knowing you have them is part of it. Like I know I have this particular comic and it's in my possession. It's there. In Veve, it's a little bit different, of course, because like, Veve has my comic. Even though I trust them to hold it and not just explode and, go away, I still have it in my, when I open up my phone, I can look at it and stuff and I can still sell it. And so, that's kind of what I like right now. It's just the collecting part of it. I don't know where, like, I try not to think too far ahead with, this is just me, right? Just me. I try to think too far ahead with what Vive's doing, like with their Viveverse and everything and all these, because if you do, I think the expectations for me then start to get a bit too high, and then I get easily more disappointed. Right? I'm actually quite content just at this moment, just collecting the stuff and building something, knowing that like I feel the company's going to be around for quite a long time, and I'm willing to give them time to do what they have to do. Now, will the community be here and wait that long? I don't know. Right. I mean, because there's only so much patience people have, especially if they promise stuff and haven't come through. So I'm trying not to like look too far ahead and just try to focus on my next task, which is get myself ready for this MCP game that's going to be played as much as I can do within my budget, and just kind of like build up to a point where, and once I see where I'm at my level, then I'll know sort of where I sit. And so in the meantime, right now, I'm just trying to like, I'm not putting hordes of money in or something, like this week or something like that. But I'm like, I want to see my level, I want to see where I'm at, and then we'll go from there, I guess. Right. But yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that you don't have your MCP yet. And that some of these big guys don't have MCP yet.
It's just random, right? I guess it really is just random. But I keep seeing people getting it every day. And so that makes me feel good. I go, okay, these people get it. This person's gotten it. People I don't know are getting it. They just tweet out and they tag me or they tag Veve or whatever. And that's cool. Like it keeps coming. Like more and more people. I don't know what the percentage is. I haven't dove into that. But eventually, I think one day I'll open up the app and it'll be there, I guess. Do I have to do like an app refresh, or do I just open it up and it'll
be there and you'll get an email?
Yeah. So one day that'll happen, I guess. And then I'll be able to be like, oh, okay, I'm, bronze, whatever. Or I'm like the level, and I don't even know if it'll be accurate yet either, but it's just nice that it's coming,
Yeah. And speaking of self-custody, Paul Barron tweeted out, I don't know if you saw this the other day, he tweeted out, not your keys, not your Dumbo, right? Referring to that Dumbo, the low mint that was pulled back. I thought that was kind of witty.
Yeah.
Did you think Veve made a mistake? I know it's been talked about, but it just happened again, so it brought it up again. Do you think Veve made a mistake in pulling it back, right? Because it's a reminder of how they are centralized and people don't actually own the collectibles?
Yes.
I would have thought they should have just left it. But here's the problem. And sorry, Hodler, there. I thought they, since I was I'll just continue real quick. I'll just make a quick point. I thought they should have left it. Like, it's just a mistake. Person's got it. Like, they were talking about the low mint run, right? That went out. So just let them have it. Let them have it. And it's done. A mistake. You just, instead of taking it out, I thought the ramifications of taking it back in the community were way higher than the ramifications of just leaving it. But then again, I can see why they took it, because it actually only belongs to Disney. It doesn't belong to Veve. And so Disney's supposed to get it, apparently, right? Because they hold them back. I guess this is what some people have said. I don't know if this is fully true, but when they hold back those first whatevers, those are actually supposed to go to the licensor. And so not necessarily to Veve themselves. So they had to, this is another, somebody brought this up. Did they pull it back so they can give it to the licensor because they actually own it? Maybe there was something that maybe they had to do it for that reason too. But if I was the shop owner, the company owner, I would have just been like, oh crap, that won't happen again. But the person got it and it's theirs now. But then again, you have all the low mint hunters that then freak it out, right? So it's a lose-lose scenario. Just don't make mistakes. But they're going to make mistakes. So what are you going to do, right?
That's
so
the easy
I would have
solution.
just left them. I would have just left it with the person and not took it back. But like I said, the licensor might have a bigger. It actually belongs to them. They get to keep the first whatever, I think, right? So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I heard that and I thought that was interesting. I never thought about that until I heard that, actually.
I'm hearing a bit of an echo. Do you guys hear an echo? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe we'll mute ourselves when someone else is talking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this whole thing is a mistake on so many levels, because first of all, we already do not have self-custody in that sense, but we all have this imagination of our Veve wallet where our collectibles are in, and at least once they drop to us, they are ours because we paid and so on. But then you see that the company is actually putting their hand in your wallet and takes something back, and gives you something with another mint number. What the question rises in my head, what if they want to switch out another collectible for whatever other reason, because a licensor doesn't want to have the version with that defect out there, so they grab into it, take all them away, and redistribute them.
Lenectra.
Yeah, exactly. So but even then, I think Veve is missing a huge opportunity here, because that was a mistake. And in the digital world, these mistakes that are not as common as in the physical world. So, for example, there are very valuable Pokemon cards that are crimped on the top, that are misprints, miscuts, and so on. And once this happens to you as an honest mistake, you should leave it in there, because it gives something, this rarity of these mistakes to the community. And everyone will remember, hey, you remember that's the only reason that there is a number 30 Dumbo in the entire space, because they made a misprint, basically mismint on the blockchain. And because it's blockchain, they couldn't revert it. So they should have told the story like this. And to be honest, Veve is minting so many collectibles for Disney. If Disney doesn't have the number 30, so what? Who cares? Yeah.
That's a great point, because like in the card industry, a misprint, an error card will forever. It could be like the shittiest card, the shittiest player, but if it's an error card, it'll gain some notoriety. I remember like an Al Leiter card from back in the day.
Yeah, I love the error stuff. That's great. Yeah, just leave it with them. It's an error. It's a mistake. Like you said, I love that. It's the 30 Dumbo, forever known as the one that slipped out the doors. And whoever owns it, it makes it even more valuable, right? So
Yeah, I agree. There was too much to lose as far as like community sentiment and just like, I guess, respect from certain community members from taking it back. Whereas if they would have just let that individual keep it, or maybe emailed him and like make him an offer, maybe he can't refuse or whatever. But like, what do they really have to lose out of the next week? There will be like 5 more number 30 Disney NFTs. So is it really that big of a deal to Disney? Just let the guy keep it and let's not create like a PR nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
And it
funny
kind of
part
like,
is they may not have even known the night. Like now they know, right? Maybe they didn't think that it was like going to be that big of a deal just to replace it. And maybe the person who got it would have been the person who was upset because they would have gone and keep it. But maybe I'm going to assume that they didn't realize the impact it would. I didn't certainly think that people would get that upset by this whole thing. You know, the whole notion of it just kind of seemed to snowball further and further about, oh, you're taking it out and this is Web3. And then, you know, people are making videos about it. And like, I would just assume that now that might not ever happen again. They might just leave it.
and that's kind of like the point right now. Does Veve need to adhere to Web3 principles more? Is there a disconnect between them and how they see themselves versus how a portion of the community wants them to be, right? In terms of, you know, the whole Web3 thing.
I think any business and human in general should adhere to their word. And so like if they promise certain features, then yes, they should adhere to them.
Like for Web3.
The whole Web3 space it's
yeah,
the
like
new
interoperability and all of that.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier, that it's the new world which is being built. Maybe at least maybe it fails and something else is coming along, but they should really bet on this new one. It's as I said, the blue ocean to discover and to really make a business. If you return back to this Web 2.5 world, you're going to compete with everyone else that has digital skins in a closed ecosystem, that are not blockchain based, and that are not there where you don't have a chance for self custody of these objects, or ownership, authenticity, and everything else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like they're in a tough spot. They're in the middle and they put themselves there. And so these problems happen because they put themselves in the middle. This is the way they built the app so far. And then they went further down the road, like we're going to be doing this stuff. And now they've obviously pulled back and like, you know, gone the more collector route, more Web 2.5, kind of not as focused on the Web3 crypto crowd, maybe going this collector crowd. Like it's really interesting, like what they're doing. Like they're obviously switching, you know, their focus a bit. And, you know, it's kind of like these problems get created because of that. So if your strategy switches in the middle, you're going to be like upsetting your original core customers that you set everything up to. And that's what I see, right? The people who were there before me, who joined for like the reasons that they joined, through OMI, through crypto, through everything. I got into it because somebody told me there was digital comics available. And so I was getting into crypto at the time, but I didn't come through it through the OMI like doorway or through the crypto doorway. I was doing crypto at the time. I was already in NBA Top Shot, and I was already buying Ethereum. I was already on the OpenSea and all that kind of stuff, right? Like that kind. I was watching videos about crypto every day, learning. I got my wallet and all that, but I didn't come to Veve through that exact channel. So people who did, and now they're kind of like they've gone this route, which is actually more towards where I'm from. So, you know, just personally, you know, that's why I'm quite contented with like the direction of Veve, whereas other people who came in through a different, like, you know, pathway aren't as contented because they're going back on what they originally said. It's a problem they've created themselves, right? So, you know, if they want to keep those core early customers and keep going down that Web3 road, which I believe they should. I mean, that's one of the big benefits of it. But you also then have to attract people who don't care about any of that stuff, and that kind of stuff freaks them out. It's kind of this weird middle spot they're in right now. I'm really curious to see where they're going to go from here, you know, and how they're going to try to appease everybody. It's going to be tough. They're not going to make everybody happy. And, you know, it's going to take time for this whole thing to, I mean, other platforms that come out with their things as well. Like if Amazon does come out with an NFT marketplace and they don't allow crypto at all, that's a whole other kind of like direction, right? And I don't want them to go that route, because I want them to be able to people to use Omi, and I want to be able to do stuff with my crypto in this app as well. But yeah, it's funny, they put themselves in this spot. Now they have to like figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, and then how do they fix it? Because I've said this, blockchain says Veve has an identity crisis, and I 100% agree.
Yeah,
right. I've said
They're
that.
going through it. They're going through it right now.
Yeah, Web 2 versus Web 3, real world traditional business generating revenue versus that crypto world and Omi, right? So it's selling digital collectibles, and then also the Omi side, which they haven't really been able to integrate.
Yeah.
How do they fix it, and which direction should they lean towards more? What do you think, Hodler?
I think they should stick with what they have been doing, because what they have been doing in the beginning and what they have planned, the plans that they outlined to their community, was what gave them success together in a market that experienced a bull run, and then after a bear market, in which we were until now, or in which we are still, depending on how you view it. So you have an existing community, you have a broader user base that maybe might be already gone throughout this bear market and is not logging in right now, but has the potential to come back. So I don't see the necessity to pivot to another user base just because you experience some shitstorms from Cthulhu fan base because they were worried about the environment for no reason at all. Or maybe from Sesame Street, the people that were flooding, just because you go through these shitstorms in the early stages of bringing the concept to NFTs for a mass that is clearly not ready, doesn't mean you have to abandon the people that were supporting and appreciating the project or the company and everything they offered so far. So I think, stick to what you have and stick with the identity that you built, and then you don't have a crisis. You'll have a plan.
Yeah. Now, eventually they're going to, right now, Veve is one of the few, or they have the lead in IP, right? And having IP NFTs. Eventually that's going to be commonplace, and there are going to be more and more companies releasing big IP as NFTs on blockchain. Do you think that when this happens and those other companies go full Web3, offer interoperability and all these things that people in Veve, a segment of the population really want, do you think that Veve will lose market share and fall behind? Have they squandered their lead, or are they squandering it now?
I don't think so. I think they're if they stay exactly the way they are, and they don't come through with that whole Web3 side of things, then yeah. But I think they're just my opinion about what Veve's doing and how they're in this middle spot right here, and they put themselves there, right? There's nobody else doing it. It's Veve themselves, right? But I don't even think we know what's being invented yet. Like what Veve really is. I think behind the scenes, they're having conversations, they're talking, they're making decisions, right? Whether those decisions work out, we'll find out. But we don't even know what Veve is going to be. We don't even know what it's going to look like. I mean, we can't judge it yet. We can only judge it on what they've done. And some of the stuff they've done has not been great. And some of the stuff they've done has been mistakes. And some of the stuff they've done has been amazing. But we don't even know what it's actually going to look like yet. And nobody knows. I mean, even just Web3 in general, right? Like just what other companies are trying to do. They're literally, like I've said this before, I know you've talked about it too. They're like inventing this stuff. Like Veve is like literally inventing a new way to interact with these kind of IPs. And the IPs are, funneling through them right now in just a very basic level. Like we're able to buy from the store, collect, look at things in AR and hang out. And that's about it at the moment, right? But they're still putting stuff through here. And so they have to have obviously shared a longer term vision or plan with those companies to get them on board. And so, just from a business standpoint, right? Like those companies have to go, okay, what are we doing here? And we're obviously not getting that information, and we might not be getting that information because they can't tell us yet because of NDAs, or maybe because they're still figuring it out, or maybe because they just don't want to tell us yet, but if they don't give us something, they're going to lose more and more people. Right. So the thing is, a Veve for me isn't even like slightly, it's like, I think like Veve for me is like 5% of what it's going to be, and that could take a long, long time. But then again, same with every other company. I think DC NFT over there, I mean, they're just basically pumping out a comic every week right now. They're not doing a whole lot else, right? Like they're not giving us more you know what I mean? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, they're not really breaking.
Yeah, they're just giving us comics every week, and that's fine. People are kind of still engaged. HRO's doing some cool stuff. I mean, like all these companies are like, they're creating. So I'd like to see what they're doing in the back room on the boardroom wall, what their plan is for 3 years from now, because that Corey and Ryan and these people who have joined the company, they've had the curtain open up, right? I haven't. I don't know what's going on, but they've seen what's going on for the next 2 years or whatever, right? So we know they know every drop that's coming at least. So I just think there's so much to be seen that we don't even know yet. And I'm pretty confident in what they're going to do, but just don't make deadlines and then miss them.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, right? Hodler or Viral, what do you guys think about that? The possibility of Veve squandering a lead in this space?
I think it would take a really impressive, engaging digital world or game to accomplish that, because I mean, what Web3 company is going to compete with game? I'm not a gamer, so I can't even name top AAA games, but what Web3 company is going to truly compete with the experience of Grand Theft Auto or something of that nature? So the reason we're also attracted to Veve is because of the IP, and for a lot of us, because of the historical significance of these releases. So much like many people don't get excited about the 7th release of X character within Veve, I'm not sure that they would get excited about the 10th on another platform. I know there's argument to be made about whether it's on the actual Ethereum chain or not. For me personally, what gives me the peace of mind is just the fact that the licensor itself approved this as being labeled as an official release of this character for the first time. So that to me validates it. But that's also because I'm also counting on them to eventually allow us to take it anywhere. So I think that's kind of the biggest separation between those of us who are still bullish versus bearish. It's just they have more ammo than we do. There's so many mistakes that they've made, but it's just the difference is that we still do believe that they will eventually grant us these things they've told us they're going to give us.
Mm-hmm. GTA, man, it's my favorite game. Number 5 is still killing it. We still play it. My son and I are playing it now. It's hilarious.
But that's what I think about.
He's just able to play. So, did you see the Nike shoes that people have put in there and they put on, and that kind of stuff is very exciting for me, for the potential of gaming and all that. So
yeah, it's going to be wild. Everything's going to be transformed in the next decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly get to the point of Mycollectables. We cannot, or he cannot judge it right now. We will see what it's in the future. And I think if you're a pure collector and you just want to have them and never let go, like the comics in your boxes, I think then that approach is 100% fine. But many of us are also here from an investment perspective, and that's where we have to take what we have right now and judge it from the development from 2 years ago to right now. What actually happened was what has been rolled out, what has been promised, and also what has been sold under the promises that have been made at the same time simultaneously. Because if you would drop a partner statue, for example, right now into this sentiment, into what became clear right now, where problems lie, it's a whole different story than promising interoperability and maybe the connections to different NFT marketplaces and so on, OUP, MCP, and collectible burning, and then you drop some golden moment series of Disney. So I think from an investment standpoint, there's no, obviously you can take the vision, that's always a thing. You can take the team, but the team also has, in my opinion, lost a little bit of credibility because of these promises. Because if I see screenshots from 2021 saying interoperability is right around the corner, it's coming this year, we are
It's
going
a big corner. It's a big corner.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't say how big the corner
is
was.
never ending.
It's like it's
You
a
said-
roundabout.
And I don't say this to drag them through the mud. Don't get me wrong here. It's not my objective to destroy the Veve team and fund my own investment, but it's a legitimate concern, because it also means every promise that is coming now, you don't know what time horizon you can put to this, with or without Mitch, because the thing with interoperability, I think, was where many NFT enthusiasts came and said, I need these first appearances. So they were basically sold under that promise. And within the NFT space and all of the space that we have right now, this community that we have right now, yes, they could lose their lead that they have there if they cannot fulfill these promises.
Yeah, and speaking of sentiment, Viral, you said right now I don't want to call them fudders, but people who are negative have all the ammo right now, right? What do you guys make of the sentiment? Do you think we're caught in like this vortex of negative sentiment that kind of swallows up the good that Veve has done? Because, Mycollectables, you mentioned earlier the things that they've done that have been, really good. Have people forgotten these things?
Well, I think it's fine. Honestly, like my whole thing about sentiment and is the conversation continues. Like I said this a few days ago. When it goes silent, then we're in trouble. People are allowed to like express their discontent. It's all good. People are allowed to, get overly moon boyish. That's all good too. The conversations have never been more vibrant. There's never been more engagement with Veve, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've been making videos now for well over a year. I know you guys are making content. You guys know what it's all about. You're interacting with your communities, and we're all interacting together. And there's constant live streams. There's constant videos. There's constant Twitter spaces. There's nonstop tweets and conversations and battles and groups. There's that just shows that the community is super engaged and everybody cares, right? And I was like, I did this I called it, it's my own little niche thing. I just called it like a care factor. People still care a lot about this project. They care about whether it succeeds or dies, whether they're together to just like bring it down, or they're together to keep it running, or whatever, or somewhere in the middle. So, I think it's all part of it. It's all good. As long as the conversations keep going, then I'm fine. Then I'm actually quite happy then, because you guys, I'm sure as well, have joined NFT projects. And I don't know if Veve classifies itself now I don't really classify Veve now as like just an NFT project, like just one you get on the OpenSea or something like that. But you go into those Discords, right? Some of them, and after a while, they just start to die out, right? There's not a lot of activity. And when you first go there, it's nonstop. It's kind of like your chat right now, Danny. Like your chat's nice and active, right? But sometimes you go to a Discord community of like a web, an NFT project, and it's pretty quiet, right? There's like one comment every 2 hours. You're in trouble. Here, Veve, it's like nonstop. So as long as there's like this community engagement that keeps happening, in all levels, like negative or positive or whatever then I think that Veve is still in a good spot personally. Now, the sentiment part about people being happy or not, that's just up to Veve to deliver, features that people want or not. And, the thing about it, I've said to you guys before, it's just my opinion, but, if people are when people are super unhappy, right? And they're, we've talked, and they're constantly on it, and they're constantly mad, and they're constantly attacking everything. You have to kind of ask yourself, like why? And I know we all know the answer to that too, because the IPs of this project. Otherwise, people would just leave. They'd just be done. They'd be like, "Oh, this place sucks, man. These owners suck. Like this platform sucks. Like this artwork sucks. This community sucks. Whatever, right?" But I mean, Star Wars, Disney, Marvel, and we're getting new Batman stuff, it looks like right now. I mean, it's just so powerful. It's so huge that people are still here, even though the stuff that Veve hasn't done right. It's quite amazing, actually, if you think about it, that people are still here after all the stuff that people are mad about. I mean, that's my sort of take on it. So that's just my thought, right? I mean, you know.
Veve is like CNN. There's like news 24/7. Like, it's always breaking news, and it's usually negative, but we can't stop watching.
Yeah, that's good. It's like CNN, yeah.
Actually, what came to my mind today, I was watching that SpaceX rocket launch, and it took off nice, and it was beautiful to view. And then it had a little bit of problems. I thought they would try a landing, and then it exploded in a huge fireball. Right, reminded me a little bit of Veve, especially because the audience was below applauding when it went in the fireball. So that people were.
And you know what they said about that? They said, "Did you see? There's a Canadian astronaut, right? He's quite famous up here, and he was on CNN, right? And he was talking about it. This is what needs to happen. It needs to explode. It gives them all sorts of great information because it's in stages. It's in stages, right? First they launched it, it blew up. Next is they launch it, it goes a bit higher, it kind of circulates a bit, then it falls. Next one, it goes higher, it gets into space. It's like, and I don't know if I totally believe that, right? But it's funny, right? People can like spin it like, oh, this is all good. These mistakes are part of the building process. Just stick around. People can spin
just
it
like
that
Amazon.
way. Yeah, right. Yeah, they can use it. The Amazon stories come up a lot with the Veve comparison. I don't know if I fully go that far.
But I want to quickly go back to one point that you made, and that is that that you see it as a good sign that people are still there complaining, even though they threaten to leave and stuff like that. But I would say there is also, under what I said before, that there were so many promises and people more or less bought the top. There's also the point that people have bags that they bought high. They are very low valued right now. Mm-hmm. They also put an investment perspective on it, and they would rather, let's say they bought something for $100, it's sitting at 10. They would rather drive it to zero and then selling it at a loss right now, even though they have basically internally, for the moment, given up on the project. So I would defend all those people that are very loud out there right now, in that sense that it's not easy to leave with a bag like this and just sell off. Even though
it's funny.
They would,
I agree with you, man. Why don't those people pump their bags then, like even like dishonestly? This is the funny part. Like people dishonestly pump their bags, right? In the NFT space, we've seen it. Celebrities do it, all that kind of stuff. So if you're loaded up to the max in Veve, you can't sell because you're too you spent too much. You don't want to lose it all. Maybe you're in Canada and can't cash out like me. I can't cash out right now. I'm in Canada, And so wouldn't you then not FUD the project like crazy because you're just driving your own price down? I don't condone that activity of doing that, but like I'm trying to understand the mentality of people who want their stuff to go back up so they can sell and leave potentially, and yet hammer on Veve every day and keep the prices down. It's kind of funny, don't you think?
I think they don't want to have that go up a little bit, exit liquidity so they can get out. I think the point is that they remember all those promises. And I can give you a list of 21 right out of my head that we don't have. They remember this, and these were the circumstances that they bought these collectibles with in mind. Comics in showrooms, interoperability, MCP, OUP, collectible burning, yada, 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 scarcity, mass marketing, and so on. So the list goes on. They bought with this, and 1 year after, they are sitting on the 90% loss, and they see that none of these things except the search bar and some backend implementations for a queue have been implemented. So that's the position that they are in. And I think we have to see this because even though it might be just because of delays and just because of other things that came up, it sure as hell seems to these people as if they have been misled into buying this stuff that would go crazy next year.
So what should they do? What should they do then?
Because I think it's just fair that they express their frustration.
Everything you said is 100% right. Like I would never disagree. I don't think anybody here would. So what do you suggest they do? Keep yelling at Veve?
I suggest that
like,
they.
how
I
if you're that person, how are you going to help?
Yeah, they can.
How are you going to help
They can
yourself?
yell at Veve.
You know
They
what I
can
mean?
yell at Veve because Veve has not communicated in that sense
Yeah.
to them to read so that they feel included again, right?
Yeah. So
I
what
think
should they
that's
do
the
then?
responsibility of Veve. Because the people they stream now, Veve has to pick them up, in my opinion.
Yeah. But should they just keep holding, or should they wait? What do you think they should do?
I feel like for a lot of people, like they'll see some of my tweets or yours or your videos, and like us being positive, and it pisses them off, and it's like, no, you cannot communicate this to the team. Like, we have to let them know that they're losing us, they're losing consumers or customers, and we want to like constantly be on their face that we want this change, or otherwise, and no one's gonna want to continue buying your. I feel like there's a lot of fear that they feel the team will proceed as they have so far, without the team fearing that they will lose their customer base, and they want to make sure that the team understands that there's like a contingency on their loyalty to the program. I personally would rather just step away and not be on Twitter or YouTube all day, especially if I had already cashed out, or if I had given hope, like lost hope on my bag. I would have just walked away and just focused on making money other ways or investing elsewhere, rather than like obsessing over a company I no longer trust. So I see both. I see why they would, but I also wouldn't do that myself.
Well, we're all down. So it's not like it's like a group of people who have put money in who are down and they're the only ones that are upset. I mean, there's people who have put money in that are down who are not upset, who are like still trying to like be positive, or still trying to get ahead, or still trying to make moves, or still trying to like, regain some of their losses, or still trying to like, play the game. I mean, there's different ways to approach it, right? So I mean, it's not like there's just a group of people who are all down and the rest of us who are positive aren't down, and we're all just like having a good time and ignoring them. Everybody's down. So we should all just say that we're all in the same spot. Not everybody is bought at the same time, or not everybody is down as much. And some people are up. Some people have gone through this whole experience and kicked ass, and they're up and they're doing great because they sold Secret Spider-Man at 50,000, and they tweet about it, how smart they were back in like last March or something. There's people who are like that, and then they like are like, well, you didn't sell, like, blah blah blah. And so like it's really just how you approach the whole thing. I mean, that's why I asked, like, what should those people do who are really upset, who are down? The example you gave, where they're down and their vaults are down, they've lost a lot. What is the best approach? My approach in that scenario isn't to like, just wallow, but that's just my personality. I just have to always try to find like, how can I get ahead, or how can I get back, or how can I get some of my losses back, or how can I get out, or how can I, how can I improve? So I wish people would try to think that way, because there's always an angle. There's always something you can do in this app to try to at least recoup maybe some. You're not going to get all of it back if you bought at all-time highs. I mean, and if you're buying it, this is a very small, like if you're buying at all-time highs last February and now you're way down 99%, I mean, aren't the people who were here early bought at like super low and like were the original whales and stacked up massively? Like, who is this group of people that bought at all-time highs who are down 90%, who then get angry at Veve every day for not selling?
Yeah, I think it's again. I get.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying, and it's all about when they entered and how much they're down. But you also, as I said before, you have to see under which circumstances and influences they bought. Because there's someone, for example, like you, who says, "Oh, nice, Spider-Man #4. I have to have this comic," and you would just happen to buy it at 900 gems instead of 90 now. But there are also these people that listened to every AMA, and there were, I think, 20,000 people in these AMAs or whatever, and on Twitter Spaces, and they listened to, there's going to be a time where these 500 secret rares are going to be burned because collectibles burning is coming to the app and I don't know what. And I can probably transfer them out to MetaMask anyway to then sell it. And if you buy under these circumstances and you are waiting for that interoperability that is coming by the end of the year, quote unquote, 2021, and you were waiting until that end of the year, and then, oh, it has been delayed, so you're waiting a little bit more, and your value goes down, 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 but you never see this interoperability. Your plan was to go to another exchange and to sell it off there. If you think it that way, you are sitting on Twitter and asking what happened to the mechanics that you told me would come to the app, but never came. And I think that's also a fair point.
100%. Totally.
Sorry, I was muted. What I was saying was, we know that there are reasons, valid reasons why people are frustrated. They've been well documented. I guess the question is, and the one that you're raising is, Mycollectables, is it productive, or how productive is it? And that's the question. I don't think, like, everyone's got their own, reason for venting and saying things. Like you said, Patient Hodler, people have a reason to be upset. It's tough. It's tough to really navigate that. But Viral, you put out a poll recently about would you come back, or how satisfied would you be in 1 year if they hit certain things, and what did that poll turn out?
I want to say it was like 75 or 6% said. I basically asked, like, if Veve released the interoperability, omnichannel exchanges. That was like 3-4 main things that a lot of people ask for all the time, including myself. If Veve released that tomorrow or whatever the date might have been, would you still be angry, or would you just be satisfied and like just happy to move forward? And most people said they would just be happy to move forward. And I did notice the people saying they would be angry. It was like in the teens. But then I replied to my tweet too early, trying to make a point. And as soon as I put that, like, a rush of people tweeting angry came in, because they were probably like, no, he's going to try to justify this. But anyways, it was like 20-something%. And then I added to that saying that, well, if that's 20-something%, assuming they did deliver all of these things, the user base would probably grow, because then we'd be happy and we'd go back to telling our friends, our family, probably larger influencers would come into the space. The user base would grow. So that 20-something%, let's say the user base grew 10x, that 20-something% would now be only 2% of the whole Veve user base. So the sentiment could change quickly overnight after they deliver the main key deliverables they've promised that people routinely ask for.
But then what about trust, right? Will trust get, because I think that's the bigger issue, right? Because people are now questioning the trustworthiness of the team, and saying that they were lied to, etc. Does trust get earned back with the deliverables and things can like get pieced back together?
The higher the floor price, our floor prices go, the higher our trust will go.
Yeah. People trust green candles.
Yeah, I think
that's not wrong in some ways, eh? That's funny.
For getting trust back, I think it once you have, and this is just a recommendation, or how I would do it. Once you have something really big to roll out, you sit down in an AMA with the community and you just give them a little bit of insight why things have taken so long, and then you present that big thing and how you're going to do better and whatever because otherwise this whole thing will repeat over and over and over again, in my opinion. And yes, it's true, if we really go into an NFT bull run, like Veve Viral said, then as long as prices go through the roof, no one will. We know that many of these questions could have been asked earlier, but they weren't, because prices were still okay somewhere. But once they were not anymore, many people realized that something's going wrong, and it's not only the normal bear market activity anymore. So yeah, I think they should. I demanded that in the video already. Sit down and just say it with everyone and just say, listen, we know that was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm buying Spider-Man. I'm buying, you know, Marvel, you know, buying Disney. I'm not buying David Yu, Alex. Like I'm buying the IP. That's what I'm buying in, because maybe Alex leaves and goes and works somewhere else. It's just a job, right? You know, I mean, David Yu and them, they're the owners. So yeah,
But
hopefully they're doing things the right way, but the other people are just employees. So I, you know, if I put any money into this thing, it's because like, I trust, you know, Spider-Man. I trust the IP of Spider-Man over I trust some guy, you know, who runs the company. It's like if I go to a comic shop, I buy the comics, at least I could leave with them. So you can't do that here yet. So that's a bit of a problem, you know, but I'm not trusting the shop owner. I'm trusting what I'm like the product I'm buying from the shop owner. This is just a shop to me, right? Like this is what it is with these comics. Now I can't take them out of the shop. They're stuck in the shop. I have to sell them in the shop, in this place's marketplace. But that's okay because, you know, up until recently, because I'm in Canada, I could take my cash out. So even if I don't have full ownership Web3 interoperability, I can still sell and take that money, right? And that's a key thing. That's without that before 6 months ago, all these issues to me were way like scarier, right? So, you know, I'm buying more of the IP than I am trusting. Now, at the same time, like you were saying, Patient, like with how everybody, the reasons that people bought here based on trust, based upon like, you know, the promises that were made, based upon things that were said and the way things were set up. Yeah, that may never come back for people. Some of those people may never trust them again, and maybe they shouldn't trust them ever again. And it'll make them like even more discerning investors, right? Like it's to invest on trust is a scary thing to do, even though like we all do it. You know, we listen to like owners of like companies that we buy stocks in, or, you know, now it's Web3 projects. You know, we want to make sure that those owners are doing the right stuff. We listen to what they say, but make sure you protect yourself because you just never know. And some people who may have lost trust with David and the team and Reese and everybody else, you know, if you really don't trust them, don't put any more money into this thing. Like if it's, you know, or protect yourself because these are just people, right? And people can change their minds. Companies can change their directions. And in this early day right here, you know, they pretty much do whatever they want. You know, they can change everything. They can say, this is what we were going to do, right? This is what you were saying. And now guess what? We're not doing that anymore. And you might have put all your money in here because of that, which sucks. So I can understand why people would be mad. But I still go back to just at the core level for me, that Spider-Man comic is still the Spider-Man comic. And that's what I'm buying is that. And that's what I like looking at in my vault. Whatever I'm able to do with that stuff later or the collectible, great. But I, you know, and I hate saying that, like I don't, this is me not talking about what I think about the ownership or the team or anything like that at all. I just, you know, I grew up with like Batman. So he's good. Like Batman's good. The Batman collectible, the Todd in the app is the Todd. Now, it'll be better if you can move it around somewhere later, you know, maybe the value will go up even higher, but I don't have to worry about, you know, Spider-Man letting me down. You know what I'm saying? So I still feel comfortable with what I'm purchasing. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, right? This is just how I feel.
So your core thesis is centered around the IP in this NFT space, right? And the fact that these are FAs and these are products that you know, characters and products that you love, and that's what you're invested in.
And that's what attracts me. Like that's what I enjoy looking at. That's what I'm actually buying and playing with every day in the app. You know, I'm not like interacting with David Yu every day. But do they need to, you know what I mean? So
yeah, but do they need to ensure trust in order to ensure a healthy, you know, marketplace and future for the company?
Oh yeah, 100%. You know, but I was just saying that some people may never get that trust back because of their experience. So those people, what I was saying, when I just go back to the beginning of what I was saying, just based upon what Patient was saying there, just about like those people may never trust them again. So like if you don't, then it's your choice to put money in here or not. If you don't think they're going to deliver, then, it's actually good for people to like be very, very cautious. Don't just go by the owner's word. I've done it. I've done it here in the app as well, right? Like we've all done it. I listen to I follow all the tweets. I'm in the spaces. I believe what they're saying for sure. But I'm not selling my house to put it in Veve, right? You know what I mean? So, yeah, that trust may be broken with some people forever, and then those people have a decision to make. Do they want to stay here with that if they don't trust the owners? Are they going to wait around, like you said, because they're highly invested and they just want to wait? It's people have choices to make, so I know what I'm doing. I'm just slowly building, not spending too much, and hoping the team comes through with what they said and hoping they actually surprise us big time. And if they don't, and this thing dies, well, then it dies. Those other projects.
Yeah.
Right. There's
that
other
Drago, if he dies, he dies.
Well, I mean, Spider-Man won't die. I'll still have my comic. Hopefully I'll be able to like access it somehow. But you know what I mean?
That's the critical part. What if it dies and you can't access anymore? Would you still be fine?
Yeah, well, I'd have to be, right? And so what I do to protect myself then is I don't make sure that I don't sell my house and put it in here.
So
yeah, but still, I mean,
if my house burns down and all my collectibles go up in flames because of some electrical error that has nothing to do with me, and up in Canada, we can't get collectibles insurance like you can in the United States. The insurance companies up here, your house insurance covers like $2,000 worth of collectibles in your house in Canada. I can't go to an insurance company and insure my entire Star Wars collection like people in the United States can. I'm not sure what it's like in your country, right? But if my house burns down, all my stuff is gone, because it's out of my control, then that's going to suck. But life goes on,
Yeah, I think you don't have to be over leveraged with your house, right? So to be upset, I think that, and also I think people would, if they had their house in there, obviously that's not good investment.
No, I don't talk about the collectibles. The house itself, you want to have that. You have insurance on that, but
it would be though more than if your collectibles were all at the bank and they tell you you cannot take them out to your home. And then the bank goes down in flames, and they said they would take care of your stuff, and then so that would be a better comparison, right?
But everybody, 100%. But most people put their life savings in a bank. These are just collectibles, right?
Uncle Jeremy's been tweeting a bit here and there recently. He's also had a little bit of a negative tint to him. One thing that he said, he was giving advice the other day, was one rule of creating a long-term collectible system is always, always, always undership, never overship, right? And I think that was pointed towards Veve's piling on of inventory and their edition numbers. How do you guys feel about that? Are they minting too many editions? Would they be better served? I know they've slowed down and they've rolled back, right? I think that Boba Fett was kind of like a tipping point where I think there were like 50,000 of those, if I'm not mistaken.
Why'd they do that to Boba Fett?
I know, when he's the rarest.
Right before August.
Yeah, he was like a tipping point. And people speculated, I know Javier speculated that it's to cool. And actually, David, you also said to cool down the market, right? That they were loading up on editions to cool down the market, which is a whole other issue. But should they take that advice and undership? And would that help create enthusiasm? Like, for instance, I don't know how many Tarzans there were. I think 4,000. And they sold 150. If they minted 1,000 and people saw it as, and at a cheaper price, kind of rewarding who's here, would that help to create engagement and help them rebound?
I don't mind the current edition sizes now that they've toned it down. Maybe the prices are too high just because they're not selling out. And I've never been a huge fan of the whole concept of they're not meant to sell out, because in the physical world, I get how there's a barrier between going to the store and buying it in the secondary. There's a level of sketchiness. There's a level of fear of like getting the wrong like when Logan Paul got the wrong cards. That's my only example I know of, because I'm not really in the collectibles world. But you might end up getting someone that just commits fraud and gives you the wrong product, or they give you something that's a little bit bent, or the shipping or whatever. But on Veve, the store and the secondary market are like just a few centimeters away from each other, and they're just that safe. So I don't see the issue with wanting to create a supply low enough, or price and supply ratio low enough to have enough demand to sell out, because it's not like the secondary is difficult to access compared to the store. I will say one of my least favorite things about the whole Veve journey of the past 2 years was when, David, you said that publicly. I mean, I would have been fine if he was like maybe not like just doing it, but wouldn't say it publicly. Like sometimes they say things that I'm like, think about the PR issues this is going to cause. And I get it. Like after so many hours of speaking publicly, you're going to have little snippets that you're going to say the wrong thing that could be blown out of proportion, because maybe that's the way he felt that moment. But now it's like cemented forever, and we could replay it a million times and do a video analyzing a video that's already analyzing that, and it's never going to blow over until they deliver major things that we want them to deliver on.
100% agree. David, you were saying that about cooling down the market, printing more edition sizes. If you look at the gem economy, how it works in this closed system, because there is no interoperability, no other marketplaces attached, and there is no good method of pay-in. I think some of the whales, including Dr. Profit, have already basically complained about that at one point credit card is maxed out, and these guys have probably bigger credit card lines, and then there is no way to getting your money in quick, let's say, to wipe some floors. And I think the crucial point here is the more you have additions that you bring into a market that has still high demand, you suck this liquidity, these gems, this money directly out of the market into Veve licensor pockets. So you load up 50 gems, participate in a drop, the gems goes out, so it never hits the secondary market. And then in the secondary market also constantly 8.5% are guaranteed cycled out on every licensed collectible that switches people. So it's always dollars going out. And if you have this closed system where you do not have a good inflow, but you're cycling out all the time with back and forth with the flippers, you have a spiral down in price, which makes people that are right now there not wanting to be in there and participate in the drops anymore, because you hit a drop for 60 and you have to sell it for 30 if you cannot flip anymore, basically, or you cannot sell this and get another mint number, because you constantly will be selling at a loss. So this spiral continues without these effects. So in the end, how do I feel about the edition sizes? Veve has gotten the message that they need to reduce edition sizes to make drops desirable. On the other hand, they get less gems in total. They have leftovers for the secondary market. So it is a dilemma at this point, which they have created by launching way too many in the hype times of some collectibles, in my opinion. By the way, someone in the chat said you guys are only talking FUD, never investment opportunities. So if you are a true degenerate, and this is not financial advice at all, but if you are a true degenerate, you will look at collectible sizes right now, see that secret rares are out there with 125 only, ranging at only 100 gems, and then you could make an investment decision based on that in the bear market, betting on that the bull market is coming back on, with a different strategy from Veve with regards to gem economy. So crypto pay-in, unlimited fiat pay-in, stablecoin pay-in, less fees overall maybe, and stuff like that.
Yeah. The golden age of scarcity.
And what are the opportunities out there? Mike, go ahead.
Well, it's just what Patient Hodler was saying. Like the scarcity right now is crazy. I wanted to just talk about really quickly, because the original question, right? Just about the market and stuff like that, and cooling off. Like, David's background is all in Pokemon, right? So he's the first guy to bring it. At 17 years old, he brought it to New Zealand or something like that. If you look at his background, So, you know, Pokemon overprints everything. So they, you know, what they try to do is they try to make it still a game and fun and allow people to collect the good cards because, you know, aside from people at the printer stealing them, right? Recently we heard that. But, you know, it's to keep like, you know, it's to keep it active, to keep the speculators out, you know, just the profit takers out, and make it so like people can get their hands on the good stuff, you know? And so, you know, back in the springtime, you know, it's clearly David Yu's background in Pokemon influenced the decision to put tons of edition sizes of stuff out here to match that current marketplace. I still couldn't get a drop back in those days. I didn't get a drop for 3 months straight. And the edition sizes were exploded up high, like Boba, right? I landed Boba, I landed Vader, great. Everything else, I got nothing. And even though the edition sizes were like super high, so obviously they needed to be high. Otherwise, the prices would have got people would have got absolutely wrecked, even worse, if they came out with these edition sizes last year. Could you imagine the value and the price of Darth Vader if they came out and there was only 1,000 of them? Like, it would have been absolutely mental back in last May, right? So I think they did the right thing by putting a lot of edition sizes out there at that time. Now, everybody like me, I still have my Vader and I bought stuff back then. Like I bought Superman at 5,000, right? I mean, you know, we've all been there, you know, and at one point, right? I think it was like April or February or something like that, March last year, right? And I made videos about it too, you know, oh, buy Superman now when he was 2,000 and he went up to 5,000. So it was a good video at the time, but you know, and I bought one at 5,000, you know, but so we've all been there. So, but now you like, you know, this is going to happen again, right? Like now we don't have the demand, right? We don't have the market. We don't have the people. We don't have all the users or whatever. They got rid of all the bots, like, you know, 75% of them maybe, right? They're still here, obviously. But now they have to go low edition sizes because, you know, otherwise stuff will literally not sell. Imagine putting 30,000 of something out right now. It would be insane, right? So now they've adjusted again for this current market. And so the opportunity, like you said, Danny, was like, you know, if it goes back the other way when they have to increase the edition sizes again, because we do have a bigger audience, the stuff that's been coming out the last 6 months is going to be kind of like, you know, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that stuff. Those secret rares that you mentioned that are like 125 editions or whatever. I mean, it's nuts, right? So, you know, Pokemon does that. They do that with their cards. They over mass print and produce to prevent the secondary speculation market from going crazy on all of the high level stuff that everybody and the collectors want in that. And it seems to work okay for that giant company. And I think that's what part of the strategy was last spring. Based on David's background, you know?
Yeah. Another thing that Jeremy said was about Omi. I know you're not really into Omi Mycollectables, but Hodler, Viral, you guys are Omi guys. Jeremy, I don't know if you caught it today. He was asked if he still believes in Omi. And he said something to the effect of he still hopes. And then he said hope isn't an investment strategy. Right? So it seems like he's kind of like lost his conviction a little bit. Have you guys lost your Omi's down? It went to 00069. It broke below that, which is a very cool number. Broke below 00069. Where do you guys stand on Omi? Have you guys lost your conviction? Are you still, you know, loading?
I've definitely lost conviction as to my price targets. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, like my price targets that I'm aiming for next bull run have gone down, but I also have grown my bag bigger than I expected to the point where like evens out my expectations as far as the dollar amount that I'm hoping it'll reach next bull run. I still think it's an excellent opportunity at today's prices. Not financial advice, of course, because it's contingent on deliveries. And I tweeted today that like if Bitcoin did a 3x from here, it would be like phenomenal. Like, oh my God, Bitcoin got to 80K or whatever. Like it's incredible. Whereas if Omi did a 10x from here and it got to 0.007, it would be like, what a disappointment. Like, I hate this coin. So I'm just thinking like of the numbers of whether I think the price is good today. Not that I'm like aggressively buying right now, but I just like the risk reward at current prices. But again, it comes with the contingencies of whether they give a utility, exchanges, and all of that good stuff. So
It's
I recognize
actually-
that there's,
I was gonna say it's actually less risky to buy now, right? Everything is actually less risky to buy
the
now
cheaper it is. Yeah.
because it's cheaper, but there's more fear in the market, and that's just the way psychology works.
Guys, I have to go. It was great chatting with you and meeting some of you. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Thanks
You
for
guys have
coming
a good
on,
one.
brother. Always
in
good
touch,
chatting
huh?
with you.
Later.
Hodler, what's your take on Omi?
Yeah, so Omi is a special thing because as much as it has downside at the moment, there's also insane upside potential. And as Jeremy already outlined, hope is not a good strategy, which is also why I do not buy 160 something million. Besides, I don't have that money, but we all know that there is a guy out there who literally puts every cent that he can find somewhere into Omi. He has his reasons, obviously. But if we just analyze where Omi is right now, Omi is a coin that is listed on 5 to 7 exchanges, depending on how serious you will take some of these exchanges, and has no utility at all. Although that there is an article of Omi utility program, which is a mere promise that has not come to fruition, but it's just whatever coin that is not listed on exchanges, which is the absolute downside, because from, as I said before, you have to see what's there right now, and there are just no fundamentals based on which I can say I'd rather put my money in Omi than in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever. However, the fact that there are no exchanges and the fact that they could be using Omi for something, and that would create volume, and that would put Omi on exchanges and make it desirable, is also where the investment opportunity or the degen play comes in, where a couple of $100 could be sufficient at a certain price point to make a killing. Why do I say this? Because I have seen this in the very early phases of the previous bull market. There was a coin NFT project called Chili's, and they had been ranging at, I think, 3 cents or so. And they went up to, was it almost $1 or 50 cents or whatever? The same happened to Hex, which didn't even have any good project outlook or real use cases and has a circulating supply similar to Omi. So whenever there were the exchange listings hitting in that altcoin run, they went absolutely crazy no matter what. They just had to have some good fundamentals, and then the exchange listings kicked in. So you could, from an investment perspective, you could bet on that. But as far as the rollout of that, whatever MCP OUP merge program goes, the utility goes, I don't know what will happen. I'm just observing.
Yeah, I think it's always good. You need to have risk management. Like Mycollectables, you said it earlier, you shouldn't ever go out and, sell your house to buy collectibles or crypto. Everything carries risk, especially a small token like Omi, right? And so it's all about managing risk reward. And I think when you're over leveraged, it's easier to kind of get fudded out, right? So I had a thread the other day on Twitter about why I'm still bullish on Omi, why I'm not selling. I have no intention of selling. And part of that is because I'm diversified. And if, it didn't work out with the token, it's fine because I have my other investments and I'm not over leveraged, right? Because every single investment carries risk. I do think there is a lot of upside. We'll be wrapping up soon. Blockchain Comics has a good question here. Question for the panel. How should Veve get consumers into the platform? I think that's a good one to end with.
Yeah, I think they did. To answer that question, I think they have to choose their target audience, and then they have to provide the features that those people are going to want. And right now their target audience is in the middle. So that's the only, if you're going to offer services or products or anything like that, you have to have a clear, direction on who the target audience is for sure. And it looks like with their new branding and with some of the stuff they've been doing, that their target audience isn't fully Web3. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now, how do you get those people in here? Well, you know, you got to give them something to do when they're here with their stuff, right? So if they're going to be working on this, you know, leaderboard, MCP, gamification, sort of like point system, collectability, and all that kind of stuff, that's one way to get people in here, and keeping it simple and easy and not making people go out and learn a lot about crypto. That's one way they can go after it, right? And then, of course, you know, with the promotions that they're going to be doing, obviously, that's one way they can go after that target audience. People like who don't care about crypto, who don't want to get into it because they're scared of it, you know, and all that kind of interoperability and wallets and everything like that, and OMI and everything like that.
You think those people are ready for it?
Well, no, not at all. So,
yeah,
you know, this is the thing, right? Like, that's going to take a while to get those people in here, but you got to make it easy for them to get in here, right? And you know, I shouldn't say like that. I shouldn't say like this is going to be really interesting. And the way I see the whole like experience we're going through, it's going to actually happen very quickly when it happens. Like the adoption of like people, like, and we always say mass adoption. I'm not talking about just Veve. It's going to happen a lot quicker than people realize, you know, and it's going to happen faster than the internet happened, because the internet took years and years and years. You know, I lived through that whole time, right? I know, like, I'm of that age, right? And you know, I don't want to ask you guys' ages, but
me too. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so it took years, like it took years from like, you know, but technology is a lot faster now, you know? And so the notion that I feel is like, you know, people will be coming into this kind of space a lot more. Like you see Nike doing what they're doing. That's going to bring a ton of people. Like even if it's just the sneakerheads, you see what they're doing right now, right?
Yeah.
Like that is, I can't get into that because I'm in Canada. Again, I'm locked out, the dot swoosh thing. Like that is just, the magnitude of that is huge. And if Amazon does this thing, that's huge. So it's going to, when it happens, it's going to happen pretty fast. And if Veve can position themselves in the right spot to have all the stuff ready for that and time it right, then yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. You know, so the other side of it is like, if they want to really go for the Web3 crowd and, you know, that kind of thing, then they're going to have to definitely like, you know, backtrack on their current trajectory. You can sort of see that's what they're going. I see them going that way. I see them going over here, you know, still Web 2.5 or whatever, making it easy for people to get in here, creating like, you know, some nice fun systems in here for us to do, some stuff to play with, everything kind of sort of centralized. That's where I see them going, you know. If they want to go the other direction, they're going to have to like, you know, stop here and go back to the original promises, right? And so I don't know. How do they get new customers in here? That's the trick. I mean, they're a lot smarter than me, you know, like it's a whole, I don't know how do you get people into this space who do not believe in it? You know, Sesame Street, Cookie Monster. I mean, that's an indication there's a big group of people who, you know, don't understand that what that exactly was exactly the same thing as going and buying a plushie toy at Walmart of the Cookie Monster. It funds the Sesame Street's initiatives. They sell merch. That's what they do. It's just not physical. It's just digital. It's exactly the same thing. But that kind of backlash goes, we're still at a big barrier level here. But companies like Nike doing this kind of stuff, man, that is big time. And gaming, I think gaming is a big doorway too. Like the gaming industry, once the gaming industry fully goes into Web3, like it's starting to go, you know, and I'm just learning more about all those kind of opportunities that are coming. That's going to onboard a ton of young people. And then they're just going to filter right in through everything else. It's going to happen fast when it happens. I just have no idea when.
Yeah. Hodler, what do you think?
My feelings. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I partially agree. I just don't agree about this trajectory thing because I think doing right by the community that you have right now and approaching the mass market that is eventually coming into NFTs anyways in the Web3 world is not a thing that where two paths exclude each other. I think you go with the one that you have with the community that you have right now, and then leverage the connections that you already have to get in the masses. And I'm specifically thinking about a multi-step approach in the sense that you reinstate or you regain the trust of your existing customer base, because you already have a money machine, a money printer there rolling, where also there is activity in the app when new users come in. The second part is you give people stuff to do that they spend hours and hours of their day from the smartphone or whatever, maybe the glasses in the future, in this thing. So showrooms and the first iterations of whatever you call it, metaverse, but also stuff like fun and interactive stuff in the sense of, for example, look at the potion. The potion gave people a little bit of a glimpse of what could happen, so that you could activate a collectible with something, or that you can burn it, that you have animations, that you have something like gamification and so on. So you give people something to do, and then you leverage the connections like Disney. Imagine once the world is ready, once people have from another big company already heard, okay, NFTs are not too bad, because honestly, it only needs mainstream big companies and media to onboard. Yeah, NFTs are fine right now with the environment and everything, and then everyone will be open to them. So what if then Disney Plus just broadcasts Veve advertisement between their shows and whatever for the collectibles once everyone is ready and it's not a bad image anymore? I think that's how you then bring in the masses. But for that, you need a functioning app that will not lag out on drops. Yeah, because today I saw a tweet from Randy that he lagged out of the drop, and he was suspecting that we somehow have many people going for the drop, which I found a little bit funny. But imagine it's going back to the times like Disney Golden Moments first drop, which was crazy. People got Homer Simpson Golden Homer 45 minutes after drop in a rebound, because everything was messed up and people were just hammering the button all the time.
Yeah, I got the hat at like 25 minutes. Or 22 minutes.
Yeah, you see, so obviously that can't happen all the time when people. So I think now is the time to build in these features. And if the masses don't care about interoperability, that's fine. It will still look, everything will still look like it does now, only that the people that already hold collectibles maybe can move them at least to some of the attached NFT markets, like maybe even a Binance or Coinbase market in the future, to be a little bit moonboyish, right? But it doesn't mean that the masses do have to use any crypto mechanics. Therefore, we have the Veve frontend.
Yeah, that's great points, man. That's why Veve seems to be potentially set up so well to succeed.
Yeah,
like,
I think
as long as they do what you described, it's perfectly, and that's what keeps me here. Like, it just seems to be set up well. Whether they deliver, we'll find out.
Yeah, and that's what we're all here to find out, right?
Yeah.
And I love the conversation, first of all. So thank you guys. And thanks.
Thanks for inviting me, man. This was super fun.
Yeah, I love it. I love chatting with people.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and there's such great people fell in love with this product. People are so passionate about it, right? And it's why we're here. And the people are frustrated because they want what was promised delivered. Veve still has an opportunity to do that. We're going to find out in the next year or so whether or not they have that ability to scale, because they definitely have that proof of concept, right? They have a product that resonates with people. They have IP that resonates with people, and they've brought this community together through that IP. So now whether or not they deliver will determine where this all goes. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and thanks to everyone in the chat. If you're not already subscribed to these guys, you need to be. Follow Veve Viral on Twitter. Thanks to everyone for coming through.